I'm Dr. Kanwal Khalid, and in this series of the untold stories of harem, we have been exploring the character or the personality of Anarkali. And so far, I have aired two programs on the same subject. Today is the last one in this series of Anarkali. In my previous episode, I shared my research when I explored the tomb of Anarkali, and I tried to identify where might be the remains of the person who is buried in the tomb was reburied, and this idea was, of course, strengthened by Mr. Abbas Chuktai, the director of Punjab Archives, also. Um, Investigating the past and its diggings. Now, currently, there is a fourth digging going on there because the tomb is right now under the conservation process. Unfortunately, they did have a digging inside the tomb, but that is not in the middle of the tomb, right under the dome, uh, because that's where the people were buried there. Somehow the other, again, the point of investigation is missed here, and maybe now, right now, we will never be able to get the confirmation of what I have been studying in the past articles and in the past research papers. But anyway, uh, l- uh, now is the time that I think we let's explore the characters of this story. And for that purpose, I did a very deep research, and there are some findings that I'm going to share today with you, and I'm sure you will find them very fascinating. So, Akbar and Jahangir were two main figures, and they had a love hate relationship. Um, Akbar loved his son, but Jahangir was not a very, kind of a soft tempered man, and he had been famous for his cruelty and ruthlessness. And on the other hand, he had lots of relationship with the women as well. And all those relationships, most of them were not approved by his father, like the relationship that he had with Noor Jahan before the marriage. That is been that is we have been told that that was not accepted. Another very concrete evidence that we come across is Jahangir's liking for Sahibe Jamal. uh, she was another girl that he admired, but Akbar did not approve her. But at the end of the day, the persistence of his son, he gave the approval of marriage, and he got married to this girl. On the other hand, Jahangir was not a very, not a very sympathetic person, and his cruelty was talked about a lot in the memoirs of Akbar Nama and even in Jahangir Nama. So this is the personality that these two had, and Sahiba Jamal is the mother of Prince Pervez, and she also died in 1599. Some people say that she was the person who has been buried in this tomb, but the style of the grave denies that, because no Mughal lady was buried in a grave made of limestone. So we can rule out that possibility. The time when this event of Anarkali took place, Akbar and Salim, Jahangir, both were not in Lahore. Akbar was in Deccan, and Jahangir was busy in his combat against Rai Chitor. So, who killed their favorite concubine? Both father and son were not in town. After a detailed study of available resources, I came to know that Akbar did have concubine wives, and two of them are mentioned in Jahangir Nama. The name of one of his concubine was Maryam or Bibi Khaira, and she was the mother of Sultan Murad. The other one was Bibi Daulat Shah, and she had a son, Prince Daniel. Now, this is the same name that was used by William Finch, but uh, he said that he is the son of Anarkali. No, he is the son of Daulat Shah. Now, Daulat Shah had two other daughters. One was Shukrun Nisa Begum, and the other one was Aram Bano Begum. An intriguing fact is that the female evil characters portrayed by the writer Sayyid Imtiaz Ali Taj, her name was also Dilaram. There is quite a similarity of these two names. On the other hand, we were talking that the most of the stories, the event has been shown as taken place in Lahore Fort, but as I said in my previous program, that the Mughal family had other palaces, and one particular palace was mentioned within the vicinity of the gardens of the tomb of Anarkali. So, in 1586 the family shifted to Lahore, so they were staying in different palaces of the city. So, we were talking about Daulat Shah and her two daughters, Shukrunisa Begum and Aram Bano Begum. And as I was saying, Imtiaz Taj mentioned all the epics, movies, stories, the Kaniz, the servant who tipped the king Akbar, her name was Dil Aram. Now, this is a very interesting coincidence, and it really fascinated me because we have a princess by the name of Aram Bano Begum. Now, this princess is a very favorite of Akbar, and her birth was a great delight for him, and he called her that when she was born, she glorified the harem of the Shahanshah, and the world's Lord conferred on her that great name of Aram Bano Begum. Unfortunately, she grew up to be a very hot-tempered, spoiled, and saucy girl, and but King was extremely fond of her, and he described her impolitenesses as politeness. These are references when he repeatedly told her elder brother, Jahangir, to be nice to her and ignore her impudence. This is something which has been going on. We have an evidence of a letter written by Akbar to Jahangir in which he says that he should always be tolerant towards his sister, although she is not of the best of temperament. So there is this narrative that has been built within the harem at that time period. But on the other hand, Salim admired her elder sister, that is Shukrunisa Begum, because she was a very compassionate and a good natured princess. So he had his inclination towards the other sister, and he did not have a very kind of a docile relationship with Aram Bano Begum. Now, the Imtiaz Ali Taj's choice of Dilaram, um, I don't think it's a coincidence because we do come across references of this Aram Bano Begum everywhere, and she was the in the stories. She was the one who tipped Akbar about the love between Anarkali and Jahangir, and it is said that she did it out of sheer jealousy. Now, there is quite a possibility that the Princess Aaram Bano Begum, who was also born in 1584, and she was almost of the same age of Anarkali, because 1584 is the year when we are informed that Anarkali came to the harem. So they might have had some animosity towards each other, and as a result to that, this Aram Bano Begum, the princess, made sure that the Anarkali is being killed. The reason being that she knew that she could kill the favorite girl of the king and the future king of the subcontinent, and she could get away with it because she was very favorite of Akbar, and she had the a woman buried alive because that was a routine punishment that we label as zinda dare gor. So this has been done to the worst of the worst criminals. But later on, this addition of limestone uh, was meant to get rid of any kind of evidence of that burial. So this is what was done to that girl, and I'm sure when the father and the son, they came back and they realized that the girl is missing, and the investigation must have been processed. But um, once even Jahangir found the remains of the girl, and he, if even if he knew that Aram Bano Begum is responsible for this murder, I'm sure he could not do anything about it because she was the favorite of the king Akbar. There are many other factors that involved of the rebel that happened in 1601 between Jahangir and Akbar, but most probably the stark reaction of Anarkali's murder, because even though Aram Banu Begum was behind the murder, but Akbar saved her from the wrath of Jahangir. So, as a reaction to that, one of the reasons for the rebel of Jahangir towards Akbar was the killing of Anarkali. That's a possibility. Let me tell you something, that Akbar's love for his daughter was such great that later on, when she passed away, she was buried in the same tomb of her father in Aurangabad, and mm, even after death, the father wanted her to stay close to him. Another discovery, a very important one I made while I was doing my research, that Mughal harem had a hierarchy in which there were khidmatkars, servants, darogas, and mahaldar, and Mahaldar was chosen out of the Darogas. One of the Mahaldar of Jahangir's period, and her name was also Dil Aram. So that is the direct name that we hear in the movie, or in the we read in the stories. That was Dil Aram, and Dil Aram was the person who was hired in the Mughal harem as the Mahaldar. Now, let me tell you the character of Mahalda. She was literally responsible for everything in the harem, and she had actually, in a way, she was informing the king each and everything that happened within the harem, any intrigues, any fights, any quarrel that were being reported to the king by the Mahaldar, and she was actually the spy of the king. And kings used to trust them so much that they would believe in them instead of their own families. At one point, Alamgir was complained by a Mahaldar that the prince, I think Azam, is not listening to her, and the Alamgir made Prince Azam to apologize to the Mahaldar, and he also had to pay a fine of 50,000 rupees to this Mahaldar. Now, coming back to my topic, Jahangir's period, there is a Mahaldar of Jahangir, and her name is also Dilaram. And another fact was that this Dilaram was the childhood maid of the later Queen Noor Jahan. This is a very interesting twist in the story, but this is a person who is extremely powerful in the harem, and she is the childhood maid of the Queen Noor Jahan, and she is controlling the harem of Jahangir. So these are the things that really cast shadow on the whole narrative, in the sense that now I believe we cannot deny that there was no such person as Anarkali, because um if it was the Princess Aaram Bano Begum, there is also possibility of killing Anarkali. And when it comes to the Mehaldar, Dilaram, so there is a certain possibility that she was being murdered. And interestingly, this murder might include Noor Jahan and maybe Jahangir, but the involvement of this character Dilaram is extremely important for all this in all this narrative. On the other hand, there are some other evidences that have been coming up, because whenever I do my research on Anarkali, I come across 10 more things, and I'm compiling them up. And whenever I get some new evidence that I'm confident about, that I'll share with my audience. For now, I am going to finish my segment of Anarkali here. But the tomb of Anarkali and its story still continues. This is the tomb where one crown prince lost the love of his wife, but this is the same place where another name of the crown prince was announced. Who was that crown prince? What happened to the tomb of Anarkali during the Sikh period and the British period? Because this building had lots of history to share with us, but I'll share this detail in some other program in my other segment. For today, I think this is it.